Chometz has such a negative representation, one is not even permitted to possess it. One before the holiday must disown it or destroy it. The Torah says one is only in violation of possessing the leavened product if it's your food item. If it belongs to a third party on a Torah level, one is not in violation of possessing the leavened chametz product. If one cooks milk and meat, a Jew is not permitted to eat milk and meat that's cooked together on a Torah level. One's not permitted to even do the act of cooking, even if he would not eat it on a Torah level. And thirdly, one is not permitted to benefit from milk and meat that was cooked together, even if it was cooked together by a third party, even by a non-Jew. It's classified as Isurei Hano'o. It's forbidden to benefit from. But one is permitted to possess milk and meat, although one is not permitted to benefit from it. The Torah tells us that the first 3 yields of a fruit tree are off limits to a Jew. A Jew is not permitted to eat the first 3 yields of a fruit tree. Not only is one not permitted to eat that fruit, which is referred to as arlo, one's not even permitted to benefit from those fruits. They have to be destroyed. If one possesses those fruits, one is not in violation of possessing those fruits. One is not permitted to plant wheat next to a vineyard. It's referred to as kloi hakerem. It's intermingling the wheat, the grain, with the vineyard. It's a Torah violation to plant the wheat next to the vineyard, that there should be this intermingling of the wheat and the grape. If one had, one is not permitted to benefit from the produce of that tree or the wheat that will be harvested from that field. Although its classification is Isurei Hano, one is not permitted to benefit, but if one possesses it, one is not in violation. So why is chametz, the leavened product on Pesach, considered so vile, almost to the degree of an abomination, something that God has such a disdain for, and therefore God doesn't want the Jew to possess it? What do we find something similar to this, to the chametz? Well, we all know that a Jew is not permitted to be involved in idolatry. It's considered a cardinal sin if a Jew should worship an idol. What happens if a Jew has an idol, possesses an idol that was worshipped by a Gentile or worshipped by a Jew? It's classified as an idolatrous object. An idolatrous object, one is not permitted to benefit from. One is not permitted to bring it into his home. The Torah refers to it. Do not allow this abomination to be brought into your home. You're not permitted to possess it. So there we understand. Idolatry is an affront to God. It's something which is false on an absolute level. It's considered something which is the ultimate breach of God's dominion. Therefore, you're not permitted to be associated with it to any degree. But chametz, leavened product, we eat all year long. It's permitted. Although it sours, it rises, as long as the ingredients meet dietary standards, you're permitted to eat it, to possess it. Not only that, on the Shabbos, we have the challah bread. We do mitzvos. We fulfill commandments with this. We celebrate with this. But yet, the moment we enter into the domain of the 14th of Nisan, Erev, prior to the holiday, midday comes, Torah says you must destroy it. You cannot possess it. And if you do possess it, you're in violation of negative commandment. What is so inherently wrong and evil that God doesn't want the Jew to be associated with this particular leavened product? Let's look at the history of Pesach. How did this all evolve? Why does God want us to all participate in the sheep or the goat consecrated as the Paschal lamb? For what reason? Firstly, why did we spend 210 years in Egypt in bondage as slaves of the Egyptians? Why did Yaakov, the most special of the patriarch, go to Egypt with 70 members of his family to begin this 210-year saga of exile, suffering, torture, affliction, bondage, until finally we were redeemed by God after the 210th year? And the 210th year, we know, as we read in the narrative of the Torah about the 10 plagues, that God brought about supernatural acts which under no circumstance can be understood and interpreted as something of the natural order. It was clearly the hand of God. That was the redemption. The final plague was the 10th plague, the killing of the firstborn. We were driven out of Egypt. And eventually, we come to the sea, the Red Sea. The sea splits. And the miracles are unlimited, which we witness, which we experience. The mightiest army of the world, the most advanced civilization, nearly comes to an end. Their armies are destroyed. The country, as a result of the 10 plagues, is reduced to rubble. What is the significance of each plague in its particular context? What exactly was the value of the splitting of the sea? All this we're going to discuss in detail. What is the significance of every detail and every nuance and every experience which we experienced initially as a family? Yaakov and his family went to Egypt, and we became a nation in Egypt. Although we weren't yet taken by God to be the chosen people, but this was the precursor. This is referred to as the crucible, the smelter, which honed us and gave us a certain orientation to be worthy and capable, have a capacity to be taken as God's people at Sinai.